Hi friends, my name is Erin and I am going to start filming again, and that means a January TBR, a whole new TBR style. I switch it up every year. I love trying new things with this TBR, see what books I'm going to be reading in January. My first thought was that I wanted to be a little bit more generic with my prompts and kind of set categories. Last year I had prompts based on a theme every month, and I already had a few books that went with each prompt, so I felt like I was limiting myself a little bit with choice, which doesn't always bother me, but I kind of want to go the other direction this year. So I have 16 categories. I have sequel, my kids' books, standalone, classics. I want to read more new books, so one of my categories is a 2024 or 2025 release. My vlogs is a category. There is big books, recommended books, start a series, finish a series. I listen to some podcasts about books, and then of course watch YouTube videos about books. So I have a category that's just, did I hear on YouTube or a podcast, and audiobook, and then nonfiction, reread, QuickBooks, and NetGalley books. I think that's everything. So basically, I'm going to put all of those in a jar and then choose a book that fits that category. Now, I thought about all that, and then it seemed maybe a little bit too simple. So I also have 12 different overarching challenge maybe. And so I'm going to draw that first, and then every book I draw has to fit in that challenge. Hopefully. We'll see how it goes this month. So I do have 12 challenges as well. I'm not going to reveal those all right now. Just we'll see how they go month by month. I am going to read these in the order that I draw them. Since there are 16, I will probably not finish all of them. I don't usually read 16. I don't ever read 16 books in a month, but maybe it'll happen over the summer, you know? I don't know. I will say my audiobook I'm going to just listen to whenever. That one's a little bit different. And then I might be reading my recommended book whenever, depending on if it goes with a book club or not. On my little jar, I have 12 prompts in here for the overarching challenge. So let's start with that. On my shelf. A good challenge to start the year with, I have to choose books off my shelf. And again, aside from like my recommended an audiobook, all my prompts are in here, and I'm going to draw my first one, my first book of 2025. Finish a series. That would be a great way to start. I have an idea. I think I'm going to go for it because school doesn't start back up until January 6th. I'm going to go with Kingdom of Ash. This is by Sarah J. Maas. It's the last book in the Throne of Glass series. I've finished what's been written so far in the ACOTAR series, and I have one book left in this one, and then one book left in what's been written so far of Crescent City. So, only problem, this is a big book right off the bat, and it's not in the big book category. So, at a minimum, I'm going to have 2 giant books on this TBR. All right, prompt number 2. Oh my God. Well, there you have it, folks. I'm going to be reading 2 books in January, 2 big books, and that's probably it. Okay, I'm going to choose The Three Musketeers. Also a pretty big book. It goes to about 700 pages. Yeah, right under 700 pages. But I know some of it is like about the author. Because this is one of those Barnes & Noble classics, it has some extra stuff in it. I mean, that already is intimidating. And we have 14 more pulls to go. So hope we get something exciting. I want to be excited about my first few reads. I think I'm excited about Kingdom of Ash, Three Musketeers. You know what I can tell you I'm not excited about most of the time is classics. But here we are. I am going to go ahead and pick up this one because it is a small one. And I feel like that's going to give me the best chance of success. This is The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. I don't know much about this. The back talks about a guy who keeps coming into a coffee shop, and his face is wrapped in bandages. So he is a bit of a mystery. I'm going to guess that he's invisible underneath those bandages based on the illustration and the title of the book. let's get a good one in here. I'm gonna have a video about series I've done and haven't done. Okay. Recommended. Here's the thing. I have a book club coming up and I still haven't read the book for it. The meeting is going to be at the beginning of February, so I really needed to read it in January. We are reading Fahrenheit 451. Three Musketeers, The Invisible Man, Fahrenheit 451. I think that lineup might be a bit of a hurdle for me. None of them are in my comfort zone, in my genre comfort zone. We're gonna keep pushing. I can do it, you know? Up next, something good, please. Quick. Okay, we're turning back around. I think honestly we got most of the tricky ones out of the way, but I know exactly what I'm gonna read for this one. A fan favorite, Laura Olympus, Volume 7. This came out towards the end of last year, and I love the illustrations for these. This is by Rachel Smythe, and it is also a web comic, so you can read that. It is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and it's just an amazing modern retelling. I love it. I cannot stop talking about it. If you've watched any of my videos, you've probably seen me mention this. Next up, audiobook. So I think the audiobook I'm going to go for is A Magical Enchantment by Allison Saft. I don't know much about this, but I saw this as I was just kind of browsing audiobooks to put on my wish list, and it seems very cute. It's about someone who their magical ability is that they can put like memories and emotions into their fabric as they weave it, and so they are weaving and making wedding gowns, and it starts to build a little bit of romance with someone in the wedding party. I don't know much more than that. I'm hoping it's just going to be a nice, cozy, kind of romantic-y feel. I am a little bit hesitant only because I tried Flower Hearts last year and ended up DNFing it, and I really don't want to DNF another cute fantasy audiobook find. So hopefully this will be a good one. Next up, YouTube or podcast. Very excited for this as well. I wish it was a little bit higher on the list, but hopefully another month we'll get that. But I am going to be picking up Divine Rivals. I have heard so many people say so many good things about this book. I love the cover. This is by Rebecca Ross, and I just really want to know what all the hype is. I love good romance in a novel, and I feel like that'll be such a great way to start the year. And so as much of that as I can add to this list, I'm going to take. I don't even know how many more to go, but let's see what's up next. Nonfiction, because this has to be on my shelf. Most of the nonfiction I have on my shelf I've already read. I'm going to go with another one of my kids' books. It probably needs to be that is probably obsolete. We'll know by the end. But this is High Tech Inventions by Mary Packard. I don't know what year it was made. Technology has come so far so fast. 2004. So I can only imagine how out of date this has a potential to be. But maybe not. Maybe it's a good intro. I don't know. We will know. We'll see by the end if I'm recycling this book, or maybe it still holds up. Up next, reread. Okay. I have some bigger books I definitely want to reread this year. I was rereading Sabriel, so I need to still reread the third one in Sabriel, but I have enough big books on this list so far, I think, and I really don't want to choose a book I might not get to that I'm really excited about. So, not to say I'm not excited about this one, but I'm going to read another one of my kids' books from my past. I remember loving this book. It is Afternoon of the Elves by Janet Taylor Leslie. It's about two girls that are playing outside and they discover a tiny little kingdom, if I remember right. I don't know that I've read it since like 4th or 5th grade, but I do remember reading it repeatedly when I got it, and I want to see why I loved this book. Okay, keeping going, moving right along. Start a series. I don't know that I'll get this far, but I've had this book on my shelf for a little while. It has such a beautiful cover. I bought it for the cover. I don't know that I've heard anybody talking about it, but it may just be that I've missed it. But this is The Art of Prophecy, and it is about a prophecy gone wrong. I'm not always the biggest on the prophecy tropes. They're not necessarily something I look for and go for specifically, but I don't mind them if they're done well. And I'm hoping that this beautiful cover also just is a really good book. Okay, we're getting a little bit further here. Shouldn't be too many more. What's up next? NetGalley. Okay, I basically have not done NetGalley in a few years, and I kind of want to pick it back up again. I think it was an enjoyable way to kind of see what's up and coming and be a part of that space, and I want to get better at being consistent with reviews. So the NetGalley book I have is City of All Seasons by Oliver K. Langmead. And this is about two different cities. One is stuck in perpetual winter and one is stuck in perpetual summer because of some oppressive governmental powers that are keeping them divided. And every once in a while, they're able to catch a glimpse of each other. And so you have two people from these two different cities that are able to start communicating. And I don't know where it's going to go, but I really like the idea of that setup. And I really just have high hopes for this one. Okay, I think 4 more, maybe 3 more, 4 more. 2024, 2025, also a little bit low on the list for me. But I did buy this book last year, so it was published in 2024. And this is A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. I love the cutesy little cover. He's a plant guy. This is by Sarah Howley. Seems like it might be a little bit of Grumpy Sunshine, which I love. It has a vampire that has to eat a werewolf heart to stop a curse, and a werewolf who's trying to run a plant emporium and deal with his anxiety. So it just sounds super cute. I mean, not the eating his heart part, but I'm assuming that's not going to happen. You know, it is like the second or third one in a romance series, but I'm assuming and hoping that you don't have to read them in order necessarily. Usually with stuff like this, it might give away a couple or talk about a couple from a previous book, but that doesn't bother me. Vlog. I do have book boxes I need to eventually read. After that, we have Sequel. Another one I'm trying to slowly chip away at. I'm going to choose a smaller one. I have the collection of the 4 Earthsea books all in one. So the second one is the one I'm on. I read the first one last year. I'm very interested to see how the collection feels as a whole because it is such well beloved in the fantasy genre. My kid's book. This far down on the list. Fortunately, I've already got some of them out of the way because I have a ton of these on my shelf. Let's go with the first one. I see Chloe, the Topaz Fairy by Daisy Meadows. What a name. It seems like Jack Frost has taken Chloe, the Topaz Fairy's gem, and that means she can't use her magic, so there's very little time to get it back. Last up, I know which this is, if I remember. Yeah, Standalone. I am going to try and reread. Part of me is putting this on the list because it's the last book. If I don't get to it, I'm not that fussed. But I do want to give this book a second chance, and that is Battle of the Linguist Mages. When I picked this up the first time, the language was very in-your-face, like text-style gaming and slang all throughout, and I just was not in a headspace for that. And so I put it back down after literally maybe 5 pages. I definitely want to give it a better chance. It seems like it could be fun and silly and funny if I can let myself get into that vibe. Okay, I'm not convinced I can hold this stack up with any real success, but you gotta try, right? Thus is the curse of the booktuber. This is what I'll be reading in January, along with Fahrenheit 451 and my audiobook. Hopefully, you'll be seeing videos from me again. I'm going to be filming my top books of 2024 and maybe a book haul because I don't think I filmed one for most of last year, so I have a lot of books that I've received. So yeah, keep an eye out. Hope you have a good start to the year and let me know what you're reading. I love a good TBR. Bye, friends.